In today's video, I'll answer your question, what is the Palestinian Covenant? Then afterward, as always, I'll share some helpful resources, so stick around until the end. The so-called Palestinian Covenant is recorded in Deuteronomy chapter 29, verses 1 through 29, and Deuteronomy chapter 30, verses 1 through 10, and was made between God and Israel right before Moses died and Israel entered the Promised Land. The Bible never uses the term Palestinian Covenant, and Moses certainly never would have called the land Palestinian, but the term has become common usage. This covenant is also called the Land Covenant because of the many promises related to Israel's possession of the land. God made this covenant with Israel after the Mosaic Covenant, and after Israel had wandered in the wilderness for 40 years. God made this covenant with Israel while they were in Moab, waiting to enter the Promised Land, and the covenant would serve this new generation of Israelites as a reminder of their special covenant relationship with God. The Palestinian Covenant has many similarities to the Mosaic Covenant made at Mount Sinai, but is a separate and distinct covenant as clearly seen in Deuteronomy chapter 29, verse 1. These are the terms of the covenant the Lord commanded Moses to make with the Israelites in Moab, in addition to the covenant he had made with them at Horeb. Before making this covenant with Israel, God reminded them that if they obeyed the Mosaic Law, he would bless the nation abundantly, and warned them that disobedience to the law would result in his cursing the nation. See Deuteronomy chapter 28, verses 1 through 68. Besides the promises that God would bless them if they obeyed his commandments and curse them if they disobeyed, the Palestinian Covenant also contains some special promises to Israel that many believe will not be completely fulfilled until the millennial reign of Christ. First, God promised to gather the scattered Israelites from all over the world and to bring them back into the land he had promised to their ancestors. Deuteronomy chapter 30, verses 3 through 5. Second, God promised to regenerate the Israelites of that time and their descendants by circumcising their hearts so that they would love him totally. Verse 6. Third, God promised to judge Israel's enemies. Verse 7. And fourth, he promised that the Israelites would obey God and that God would prosper them in their obedience. Verses 8 and 9. While some might see these promises being fulfilled when Israel was returned from captivity in Babylon at the time of Ezra and Nehemiah, there seems to be some aspects of this that have not been fully realized yet. For example, the promised restoration of Israel to the land would not happen until all the blessings and curses promised them were fulfilled. Deuteronomy chapter 30, verse 1. And we know that Israel as a nation rejected Jesus Christ as their Messiah and was once again cursed and cut off from the land when the Romans conquered Jerusalem in AD 70. Second, we see that one of the promises in this covenant was that God would circumcise their hearts, verse 6, so that they and their descendants would obey him, verse 8. These same promises are repeated in Jeremiah chapter 32, verses 36 through 44, and Ezekiel chapter 36, verses 22 through 38, and are part of the blessings and promises of the new covenant. Also, it seems that the final or ultimate restoration of Israel to the land and to an everlasting relationship with God is what Paul is looking forward to in Romans chapter 11, verses 25 through 26, when he says that a hardening in part until the full number of the Gentiles has come in, and in this way all Israel will be saved. The Palestinian Covenant also serves to reinforce the promises made to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, that God would establish Israel as his chosen people, Deuteronomy chapter 29, verse 13. Even though God set before Israel the promise of his blessings for obedience and his curses for disobedience, he knew full well they would turn from him and his covenant and turn to idols. This is why he also promised to one day restore them to the land and have compassion on them, Deuteronomy chapter 30, verses 1 through 3. Therefore, the ultimate outcome of this covenant does not depend on Israel and its obedience, but instead it depends on God and his faithfulness. The Palestinian Covenant focuses on what God is going to do more than on what Israel is supposed to do. While Israel's prosperity is closely tied to her obedience to God's commands, and they will still be punished for their disobedience to God, there is coming a day when God will return them to the land, the full extent of the land as outlined in Genesis chapter 15, verses 18 through 21. And they will possess it, and God will bless them forever. At that time, God will circumcise their hearts, so they will obey him. Deuteronomy chapter 30, verse 6. This covenant is again reaffirming the Abrahamic covenant, in that someday the seed of Abraham will possess the promised land forever. Unlike the Mosaic covenant, whose promises are conditional upon Israel's obedience to the law, ultimate fulfillment of the promises of the Palestinian covenant are not dependent upon Israel's obedience. Instead, the Palestinian covenant is an unconditional, eternal covenant. Ezekiel chapter 16, verse 60, because it is part of the Abrahamic covenant and an amplification of it. Want to learn more? Subscribe so you don't miss the next video. Visit gotquestions.org for more great content and check the details section below this video. There you'll find one book I recommend along with several links related to questions. If you'd like to learn about Bible Munch or if you're interested in bite-sized devotionals, subscribe to Bible Munch on YouTube. It's linked right here. Now remember, got questions? The Bible has answers. We'll help you find them.